Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the press briefing of the International Conference on Women, Peace, and Security, or ICWPS. This event has been significant to all of us as we conducted the first ministerial level ICWPS here in the Philippines and highlighted the importance of having women involved in the peace process. Affirming the commitment of the Philippines to accelerating the goal of this conference, we adopted the Pasay Declaration on Women, Peace, and Security. To discuss more of the declaration, we are joined today by Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo, Presidential Advisor on Peace and Reconciliation and Unity Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr., Philippine Commission on Women Chairperson Ermelita Valdeavilla, and Executive Director of ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation, Ambassador Gusti Agung Wesaka Puja. Later on, DBM Secretary Amenah Pangandaman and PCID President Amina Rasul-Bernardo will join us. Secretary Manalo.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone, and pleasure to see you here this afternoon. I'm pleased to announce that on October 28, the first day of this first ever international conference on women, peace, and security, in a meeting chaired by the Philippines, ministers and representatives from over 70 UN member states adopted by consensus the Pasay Declaration on Women, Peace, and Security. This declaration represents a powerful and unified commitment to advancing the women, peace, and security agenda in our time, reaffirming the principles of the UNSC Resolution 1325 and its related international frameworks. The Pasay Declaration serves as a guiding framework rooted in international instruments such as the Beijing Declaration, the CEDAW, or the Committee on the Discrimination Against Women, and the 2030 Agenda and its Sustainable Development Goals. It underscores that gender equality and women's empowerment are not only fundamental rights or human rights, but are essential to achieving sustainable peace and development. The declaration highlights several crucial dimensions, including the increasingly urgent nexus between climate, peace, and security. It calls upon member states to address these intersecting challenges by integrating gender-responsive approaches to climate action, ensuring sustainable funding, and promoting women's leadership in climate resilience and disaster risk reduction. In terms of concrete actions, the declaration commits us to removing barriers to women's full participation in all levels of decision-making, enhancing accountability measures, and advancing women's leadership in peacekeeping, peace building, and conflict resolution. It also calls for robust mechanisms to track progress and ensure transparency, reinforcing that this agenda it's not just a commitment, but it's an obligation that must be met with measurable outcomes. The Philippines is hopeful that the Pasay Declaration will help shape state actions, guide policy reforms, and foster greater accountability in advancing gender-responsive peace and security frameworks. As a nation, we intend to carry forward this declaration as we engage with broader multilateral agendas, such as the upcoming 29th Conference of Parties under the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, where we aim to further advocate the integration of gender equality in climate action. In addition to adopting the Pasay Declaration, the conference has also featured high-level thematic sessions where ministers and delegates shared invaluable insights on building sustainable, gender-responsive peace frameworks and implementing actionable WPS strategies. These discussions have underscored the importance of cross-border cooperation, the need for innovative funding mechanisms, and the integration of climate resilience into WPS agendas. These perspectives are now central to our collective vision for peace and security. I would like to express our deepest appreciation to our invaluable partners and supporters who made this conference possible. These include Senator Lauren Lagarda, the Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, the Philippine Commission on Women, and the Department of Budget and Management, working in partnership with UN Women, the Philippine Center for Islam and Democracy, and the ASEAN Institute for Peace and Reconciliation. Their support and dedication have been crucial in shaping this meeting and realizing the outcomes that we are now celebrating today. We are also grateful to the local government of the city of Pasay for their steadfast support in hosting this conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Manalo. Next, Secretary Galvez, please.
To the members of media, fellow public servants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, isang maganda at mapayapang araw po sa ating lahat. Thank you for joining our press conference as we close this international conference on women, peace, and security today. The past 3 days have been very productive, from high-level meetings to roundtable discussions and to thematic discussions. All of these gatherings gave us an opportunity to share our insights, recommendations, and best practices on how we best advance the women, peace, and security agenda. Among our major highlights of this conference is the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding on the Center of Excellence on Women, Peace, and Security between OPAPRU and the U.S. State Department Office of Women Global Issues. The MOU will pave the way for the establishment of a Center of Excellence on Women, Peace, and Security in the Philippines. And it is noteworthy that our country is just the 4th nation in the world that will have this kind of center with the support of the U.S. Department and Georgetown University. With the Philippines having its own WPS Center of Excellence, our country is envisioned to become a regional hub for Southeast Asia in promoting the advancement of the WPS agenda in the region. We envision to carry out, through the local and national policy engagement, standardizing approaches for national action plan development and bridging gaps in the implementation of WPS initiative. The hosting of the ICWPS is indeed a major milestone for our country. I would therefore like to reiterate our deepest gratitude to President Marcos Jr. for granting the special presidential authority to negotiate with the United States government to establish the Center of Excellence. We also want to congratulate the Department of Foreign Affairs, our partner, the DBM, and also the Philippine Commission on Women and other partners like the ASEAN IPR. We can say that the conference had been productive. All major events went well. We have positive feedback and major milestones had been achieved. There is also an announcement that 275 million funding of the WPS agenda embarked by JICA and Japan. And we have also the Pasay declarations. And there is a very active participation of the CSOs down there in our meeting today. And we are very happy that we can say that the first international conference for women, peace, and security is very successful. And thank you very much, and looking forward for answering your questions.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. May we ask Chair Valdeavilla for her opening statement?
Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat, member of the Media Corps, civil servants, advocates of gender equality, women, peace, and security. To my fellow members of the panel, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. This international conference on women, peace, and security brought to fore a highly alarming snapshot of the threats experienced by a huge number of people as a result of armed conflicts around the world. Situations in Afghanistan, Democratic Republic of Congo, Ukraine, Myanmar, Sudan, Somalia, and Gaza are only a few of the countries mentioned by esteemed delegates as a matter of concern requiring international attention. The United Nations reveals that as of June 2023, 100 million people worldwide have been forcibly displaced due to persecution, conflict, violence, and human rights violations. This situation gives rise to unprecedented humanitarian situations characterized by uncertainty, economic deprivation, statelessness, and other threats to human security. Superimposed against this backdrop is the overpowering threat of climate change, which is already beginning to damage the lives of 3.6 billion people living in vulnerable locations. After 2030, which is the deadline set by the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, 250,000 additional deaths every year has been projected by the WHO due to climate change. This situation has exacerbated pressures on women's already depleted time and energy, exacting from them enormous physical and emotional toll that affect their overall well-being and health, rob them of opportunities, and push them farther to the edge of disadvantage. Never before has the world been severely imperiled by such a multi-layered, interlocking threats to humanity. Armed conflicts could be stopped by mediation and negotiation, but climate change will never sit down and welcome a negotiation. It will continue to target the weak and vulnerable, and the strong will disproportionately have to bear the task of reconstruction if we do not work now on even small solutions. So let us continue to move forward, but let us be better. Let us slow down climate change, but let us accelerate the cessation of armed hostilities. In the Philippines, there is a Republic Act 10176 mandating all 12 years old and above who are able-bodied to plant a tree every year. This represents 68% of the Philippines' 116 million population. This law was adopted 12 years ago, and if we only began planting immediately after its enactment, we would have started some progress in attaining our target of 75% reduction of greenhouse gas emission. I thank all the nearly 800 esteemed participants from 84 countries for the strong solidarity they demonstrated. I appeal to them, I call upon them to build upon that solidarity beyond the end of this conference, because actions should follow our commitments and words. As the Philippines heads the board of the Loss and Damage Fund, I also appeal to them to continue our conversation and the regional and global reviews of the 30th year. Hello. Good morning. As the Philippines heads the board of the Loss and Damage Fund, I continue to appeal to them to continue our conversation in the regional and global reviews of the 30th year of implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, and to put together our ideas on advancing the agenda of gender, peace, and climate at the core of its implementation. Everything in the 17 Sustainable Development Goals is central to the gender, peace, security, and climate agenda. And most of them are not likely to be achieved in the next 6 years, which is the deadline set by the SDG. As I said, we need to match our commitments with transformative actions that deliver results, impacts around the SDG goals. Let's continue to work on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. May we ask Secretary Pangandaman for her opening statement?
Last na ba yun?
I see.
Sige, sir. Okay. To my colleagues in the cabinet, in the executive, development partners, distinguished guests, friends, and media, ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are about to conclude this historic conference today, and for the past 3 days, we heard the voices from our community of nations and international and civil society organizations, what the Women, Peace, and Security agenda means to them, and reaffirm their commitments moving forward. We have witnessed critical discussions on the role of women in peace processes, the WPS National Action Plan, the importance of financing and legislation, partnership building, and addressing concerns on climate, peace, security, and digitalization. Throughout our discussions, one of the most salient best practices highlighted was the importance of inclusive participation. We have seen firsthand the transformative impact of integrating women's voices at all levels of decision-making. The success stories shared by various delegations demonstrate that when women are involved, peace agreements are more sustainable, leading to stronger and more resilient societies. If I may share, at our thematic session yesterday, on investing in impact, financing strategies for women, peace, and security initiatives. One of our speakers, Maria Jose Gomez Gonzalez, director of HIAS from Ukraine, a civil society organization that helps deliver emergency response services in Ukraine, highlighted the importance of taking women's stories and testimonies around the world to donors' countries. She highlighted that women should have a safe space to share their own narratives, fostering greater understanding and support for WPS initiatives. Ensuring that women can safely speak about their experiences is essential for effective WPS initiatives. It allows the authentic voices to guide strategies, promotes healing and empowerment, and informs actions that address gender-based challenges. When women feel secure in sharing their stories, it strengthens advocacy efforts and fosters solidarity across diverse communities and leads to a more inclusive and impactful solution. I hope that this conference has indeed become a safe space for every woman across the globe to share their stories. Stories that inspires action, shape initiatives, and drive programs to address the complex realities women face in conflict zones and beyond. Let these stories not just be heard, but the catalyst for a tangible change, so that every narrative is a stepping stone toward peace and security for all. On our end, the Department of Budget and Management remain committed to gender mainstreaming and will continue to integrate gender-responsive measures in our climate action programs, as well as intensify our peace-building initiatives, especially in the Bangsamoro region in Muslim Mindanao. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our global partners, participants, speakers, and organizers who have contributed to the success of this conference. Rest assured that we will carry forward the momentum generated here. And may this conference likewise impress on us an important lesson, that in every decision or policy making, women should always have a seat at the table para sa patuloy na pagkamit ng kapayapaan at seguridad para sa lahat ng kababaihan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Secretary Pangandaman. And now may we ask Ambassador Puja.
Maraming salamat po. Good morning to everybody. It is my distinct privilege to join Secretary Manalo, Secretary Galvez, and Secretary Pangandaman in this very important forum of the press briefing. Certainly, we would like also to take this opportunity to thank the Department of Foreign Affairs, the OPAPRU, and also the Philippine Center for Islam and Democracy for joining us in these collaborations. And we are so proud in supporting the International Conference on WPS. And would like also to take this opportunity to congratulate the conference for adopting the Pasay declarations. Distinguished colleagues, friends, I would like also to take this opportunity to introduce briefly the ASEAN Center for Peace and Reconciliations as institutions for research and capacity building on conflict resolutions, conflict management, and transformations, and peace building. The ASEAN Center for Peace and Reconciliation has 5 main functions: research, capacity building, creating pools of expertise, networking with like-minded institutions, and disseminating informations. And one of our pool of expertise is the ASEAN Women for Peace Registry, which was actually formed here 6 years ago in Manila in 2018. This is the pool of experts for women working on peace, conflict resolutions, conflict education, security, and gender mainstreaming. The ASEAN Women Peace Registry also involved in this international conference in 2 important events throughout the 3 days conference: the WPS Knowledge Exchange with the Australians civil societies organization coalitions on WPS and the special forum on bridging regions for WPS. Let me just share a little bit on what we had during the knowledge exchange. The knowledge exchange involving 12 ASEAN Women Peace Registries members, including the members from the Philippines, indeed, and Australian coalitions members, was made possible by the support from the ASEAN-Australia Political Security Partnership and the Asia Foundations. The knowledge exchange facilitated sharing of experience and knowledge between the two women networks on development and implementation of the national action plans and regional plan of actions on WPS, as well as strategies for advocacy, policy influencing, and adaptations on emerging non-traditional security issues. And the success of the knowledge exchange actually inspired us to continue initiating discourses for women peace experts both within and beyond the regions. The OPER, the ASEAN Women Peace Registry's participation in the special forum, which is still on now, is an opportunity for regions and sub-regions, including ASEAN, to share their unique experiences and challenges in relations to WPS issues. And the special forum discussed opportunities for forging closer collaborations among regional, sub-regional mechanism and the feasibility of setting up an inter-regional platforms to advance the WPS agenda. And the special forum highlighted the importance of stakeholders partnerships, those involving government, civil societies, international and regional organizations, cross-sectors collaborations, and listening to diverse groups in a massive focus group discussion. And nearly 400 participants this morning supports cross-regional collaborations, reflecting on similar platforms or network already established within their own regions. However, the format for these cross-regional collaborative platforms required further considerations in terms of format, modalities, resources, and current regional contents, including economies, political situation, and regional conflicts. As an underlying message to this special forum, the most powerful resources is human resources, especially women resources. But we must not forge that no one left behind, including male champions are also needed to echo the women's voices. And finally, this special forums also is a venue to allow peace builders from Asia to network with fellow peace builders from other regions to explore the feasibility of establishing a platform for collaborations. So certainly the special forum highlighted the experiences in the regions, Southeast Asia, and also the Middle East and North Africa. First, strengthen the existing regional mechanism. Second, to provide a platform for greater and more meaningful collaborations. And the third one, to provide a democratic safe space to enable participants to achieve objectives on exchange of experiences, exploring common priorities on WPS areas, and establishing networks. So to conclude, I just would like to quote that one country's security problem is also the security problems of the others. Thank you so much. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Puja. Before we open the floor to questions, maybe lay down some ground rules. Kindly state your name and the agency you're representing, and to whom your question is directed. We're now opening the floor for questions. Kathy Valente.
Good morning. Good afternoon po. to any panelists po. Were we able po to achieve our desired outcome for this summit? And what's next for our WPS agenda? Are we eyeing a partnership, signing a partnership or cooperation with other countries to push our agenda forward? Thank you.
Sa atin po, nakita po natin talaga yung milestones natin. We were able to achieve our major milestones. Number one, there are more than 70 UN nation countries. In fact, as we had counted, more than 80. And the participation of many agencies, international and also CSOs, is very remarkable. We expect na yung ngayon na mga attend, medyo konti na because it's the third day, but there are some rooms that are even over-attended. And we have seen the dynamism of the discussions, basically from first day to second day. If you have seen the thematic discussions, it's very inspiring and very, very thought-provoking. And nakikita natin dito ang pinaka-major milestones natin. One is yung Pasay Declarations was achieved. Second, yung ating establishment of a center, which is basically ito magiging maraming overarching action points in the future. This might be our platform for regional and interregional consultations and dialogue, considering also that we will be rotating as head of the ASEAN on 2026. And also we are vying for the national security membership in 2027. So I believe marami po ang naging output natin, and one good output also is the collaborations of many agencies, including international organizations. And JICA po, together with the UN organizations, they already had signed, announced the 275 million funding for the WPS agenda in BARM. This is over and above na binigay ng JICA, COICA, and also with USAID na 1.6 billion for health and also for birth support doon sa BARM na 1.6 billion. So I would like to this point, I would like to thank our technical working group, our NOC, the National Operation Committee, and also our stakeholders. Yung lahat po na nagtrabaho po dito, we would like to congratulate you for your hard work and also for your day and night supervisions of the detailed planning of this conference. Salamat po.
Thank you. Chair Valdeavilla, I think, would like to add. Sorry, ikaw din po.
Thanks so much. Insofar as the gender equality and women's empowerment is concerned, we already have a regional and global platform, and I intend to take this to the regional review, 30th year review of the implementation of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action. That's going to happen on November 18 to 20. So immediately after this, I ask for a seat in the roundtables on women, peace and security and climate change. These are two roundtables. And together with the government of Australia, I was invited to be a co-host. The Philippines was invited to be a co-host of that event. So we are now making a documentation, and we will present the highlights and invite them to continue the conversation around making this work, because this cannot just remain as a paper. We have to continue with actions. And insofar as implementation in the Philippines is concerned, I had just a meeting with the regional director of the UN Women, and we talked about possibilities of expanding their program in the Philippines on the intersection of WPS and climate change. So they have entrepreneurial activities for women at the grassroots level, but I told them that you can have income-generating projects that are focused on reducing climate change. For example, this solar making projects that can be used in times of emergencies, in times of floods. So they have committed to do the expansion, and we will just identify the areas that are prone to armed conflict. and we will proceed with it, engaging the women, engaging also the OPAPRU and other climate change and peace and security agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Secretary Manalo.
Thank you. I just want to add just a few points to what's already been stated. First, the importance, one of the key outcomes, of course, as we mentioned, was the adoption of the Pasay Declaration. I think many countries already have national action plans on women, peace, and security. For example, the Philippines just enunciated, and others. I think the important aspect here of this conference also is the fact that it recognizes the importance of international cooperation. In other words, cooperation among states. Now, this cooperation on women, peace, and security could take place in many areas. It could be at the regional level and, of course, at the international level, using forums such as the United Nations to carry the work forward of the WPS agenda. And that's why the significance of this conference is that it has identified the importance of trying to generate cooperation among states. And then maybe each state, that's why in this conference, each state who participated presented their own national actions and discussed best practices. And I think the idea is to see now, in addition to national action, how we can put this together in more focused regional and international action, especially as next year will be the 25th anniversary of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325's adoption. I think another important aspect where work will be carried forward is also among parliamentarians. I think there was a good discussion yesterday, and again, the parliamentarians discussed the legislation which they have already adopted in their own national assemblies or parliaments. But I think what was also important is that the need for parliamentary cooperation too is there among parliaments, and also with the other branches of government. So I think that's what this declaration has really done, is provide a framework on how we can carry the work forward amongst these various sectors. So and also at the international level. And of course, one more point has been stressed here is the link between climate change and security and women, peace, and security. So I think, at least from the Philippine perspective, that's another angle which we will pursue in various fora. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Manalo.
Yeah,
Secretary
just
Pangandaman.
briefly, maybe one takeaway that I got from all of this in the past 2 days is that I heard that there's a lot of participation globally, not just this part of the region. We're just happy that at least the Philippines can take the lead, can take the lead in the conversation, dialogue, and cooperation when it comes to WPS, when it comes to the cause of WPS. So we're happy with that. And moving forward, we are committed to continue this leadership role that we started. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Ambassador Puja, would you like to add?
Thank you. 3 takes to respond. First, of course, our region now focusing also on the National Action Plan on WPS, as mentioned by Secretary Manalo, in which we are using this forum and opportunity to encourage other ASEAN member states to establish their respective national action plans on WPS, follow the example of the Philippines, which already has the 4th generations of national action plans. Indonesia would be the 3rd national action plans. Vietnam just starting their first national action plans, and Timor-Leste, the 2nd national action plans. We encourage other members of ASEAN to follow those countries in establishing their own national action plans on WPS. Second, how to implement more on the regional action plans on the WPS. Because in 2022, during the ASEAN summits in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, ASEAN leaders adopted the regional action plans on the WPS. So how to implement this in the future. And the third one, indeed, we encourage more collaborative efforts on all segments of governments, civil societies, track 1, track 2, and track 3 to support the WPS agenda in the future with regard to the commemorative events next year, the 25th anniversary of the WPS, of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, Ambassador Puja. May we also remind our media friends and partners to limit the questions to ICWPS. Next question, please.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Zen Hernandez, ABS-CBN. First of all, maybe congratulations for such a successful conference. But I'd like to know more details about maybe Secretary Galvez can talk more about the JICA funding for BARM, if there are specific projects that we're hoping to use it on. And then also, I think Secretary Pangandaman already touched on this a little, but I'm hoping to hear from the others more, like maybe Secretary Manalo, on the importance of the Philippines hosting of this conference in terms of the country's position globally and maybe also the region's position globally, ASEAN specifically.
You want to add the JICA?
JICA.
Maybe for JICA, I'll just add a few projects. We've been working with them for the capacity building of PFM practitioners in BARM. You know that we're in transition now, so we're in touch with the Minister of Finance and Budget, which is Minister Pakasam. And for the past 2 years, we have been capacitating our PFM practitioners, and we'll continue it up to next year. You know, we have capacitated more than, I think, 600 staff and personnel from BARM, and I'm happy to note that 53% of them are women. So they will continue the help that they've given to us for the past 2 years. And then second, there's this 2 weeks ago, they just signed a memorandum of agreement together with, this is also with JICA and UN and COICA. This is for the maternal health. It's more than a billion of 1.6 billion pesos. This is just for BARM women and children. And maybe in the national government, I can just say, if I can just add that our 4Ps program, which is being implemented nationally, we will be adding a new, we will add a new component to this next year. This is a budget of almost, I think, 800 million pesos for the first 1,000 days. This is for the mothers and children. Yan po.
I will explore more on the JICA projects in the BARM because normally we have a regular meeting with JICA. If you have heard the research of World Bank that we are in a crisis on education and also on health. That based on their findings, that when a child grow old at 18, they will only have the 51% potential. 51% potential that they want. So meaning mababa yung natin. So with that, our donors, especially ang USAID, yung Korean agency, aid agency, and also yung JICA, they go together. They pulled in a very sizable fund, 1.6 billion, to have yung maternal health. Kasi ang findings nga ng World Bank is that very critical yung first 3 years ng bata. So with that, they invest on the maternal care, and also they also invest the 275 for the purpose of also kasama doon yung maternal health in order to reduce yung tinatawag nating mortality ng birth. And secondly, yung birth registration. Because alam naman natin sa BARM, karamihan po sa BARM wala pong birth certificate. So parang nawawalan sila ng social protection sa packages. So without identities, they are not entitled. They will not be entitled sa parang mahihirapan sila ng entitlement sa mga social protection like PhilHealth, universal healthcare. So JICA and the other donor partners come together to have this kind of activity and also projects na para maging maganda yung buhay ng ano. Meron pang project ang JICA, which is a very good example na they provided 189 million pesos to fund the production of food for 10,000 farmers. And then ang magluluto nun is yung mga women. They also have that. And they will feed 15,000 children para sa food program na tinatawag natin food program natin sa mga eskwelahan. So that is a complete cycle. That's how very purposive and very tinatawag natin na very high level at saka magandang high impact projects na ginagawa ng ating mga donor partners like JICA, Australia, and also UNDP, and also yung COICA. Singapore has also, South Korea is also investing so much, including infrastructure. EU is also
funding also, you know, that there will be the first election ng BARM next year, and they provided a sum of money for the election related capacity building and awareness. Yes, UK also.
Yes, UK and also Canada, they are also pitching in. In fact, mayroong foreign countries na we will join us in our trip to Tawi-Tawi. So makikita po natin na this conference will really give some venue for our development partners, including domestic and international, to really put in some investment, peace investments, we call it peace investments, especially for women and also for the vulnerable.
Thank you, Secretaries. Secretary Manalo, sorry.
What was
The significance of our hosting of this conference for our position globally.
I think we mentioned earlier that this is actually the first ever international conference on the issue of women, peace, security, and of course on the women, peace, and security agenda, as adopted in Security Council Resolution 1325. So, as you probably are aware, of course there have been national meetings on women, peace, and security. There may have even been a regional, but this is the first where we have had a really international meeting. Countries representing governments from 6 regions of the world were represented here at this conference. And I think the Pasay Declaration gives us a springboard on how we can bring together the various national actions and put them and mold them together into some type of international approach. Now, what we have identified are there are many ways of increasing our commitment to advancing the agenda, and I think this is where I think the Philippines could step in. And our plan is that, for example, in the declaration, we have recognized the importance of international cooperation, and there's a commitment to work together. And I think on this basis, we could launch on many types of initiatives. I mentioned this could be done in many fora, especially in the United Nations, and there wouldn't be a much better time than next year, which is the 25th anniversary of the resolution. And another significant point where the Philippines also hopes to work on is to continue stressing the interconnectedness between security, climate, gender equality, as well as the instability caused by conflicts, not only man-made conflicts, but conflicts which could arise from climate change, loss of biodiversity, and environment degradation. So I think these are areas which the Philippines managed to interject in the declaration, and these are areas that we would like to focus on, especially when we reach the global level. So I think the most important part is to create greater awareness that this issue is a national issue, it's a regional issue, and it's a global issue. and it's an issue which comprises a number of interconnected other interconnected issues, and women, peace, and security cannot really be attained without the full participation of society, and also all aspects and all elements of society, not only government but civil society. And this is something which is really a global, should also have a global perspective. So we will aim to do that. And as I said, next year would be a good time to start, it being the 25th anniversary of the adoption of the Security Council resolution.
Thank you. You want to add, Ambassador Puja?
It's very brief. Thank you for the questions. Four takes from the regional lenses. First, of course, we would like to always highlight the inclusivity because this is very important, because inclusive peace process lead to more durable outcomes. So I think this is the sense which we have during the meetings for the 2 days. Secondly, the networking, because the networking, sustainable networking is very, very important for promoting this WPS agenda in the future. The third one is how we then create a global connectivity to create more safe space in the future by, of course, involving women in this respect. Of course, on our part as the ASEAN for Peace and Reconciliation, we would always support the research and capacity buildings on the WPS agenda. And finally, in this disruptive worlds in which we are experiencing the shrinking of civic space and the shrinking of financial support for the peace processes, we would like to keep this momentum to generate more support for the WPS agenda. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think we have room for one more question.
For Ted Cordero from GMA News Online, for Sec Mina po, may PR po yung DBM about you calling for gender mainstreaming in the national budget. Can you elaborate on this, ma'am? And for next year, how much will be the GAD proposed budget?
5%. At least 5%. Sa batas natin, yung Magna Carta for women, nakalagay doon na we have to allocate at least 5% across national government agencies, GOCCs, I think even GFIs and SUCs and even local government units. But maybe later I can ask our PCW chair to show kung magkano yung nagiging, yung totoo after. Because what happens is that after they get the budget, that's when they only submit their the budget, their GAD budget, their projects, programs, and activities. So yesterday, our thematic session is about financing and investments in WPS. Siguro, we've been talking that, sige, 5%, 10%, so it's been increasing for the past, how many years? 25 years now. To date, it's 16.6%. According to last data, in 2022, it increased to up to 16.6% of the budget allocated to GAT. But yesterday, I just mentioned that maybe when agencies, when our leaders in the national government and even local government units and our GOCCs, when they prepare the budget, when we prepare the budget, siguro we should mainstream everything, women into this already. It's like when you prepare the budget, the primary purpose is to give jobs, is to give employment to the people, is to provide, diba? So sana, when you propose your budget, whatever program, project, or activity, make sure that women is already included in your proposal. So yun lang naman yung sanang gusto natin mangyari, which yesterday I attended the parliamentary discussion with Senator Lauren Legarda, and then she even made mention that maybe we need to amend the law and hindi lang specifically 5%. So maybe really just mainstreaming women, peace and security, among others, in the entire budget. Yan po. I'll ask Chair Valdeavilla to give the statistics.
Thank you very much, Secretary. Thank you very much to the one who asked the question. So, okay. So we have a full report on the 2023 utilization, allocation and utilization of the GAD budget. But of course, the procedure of the PCW is we have to ask for the performance. So there is an annual performance report submitted to us where we compute the budget against the expenditures, and we do not accept expenditures unless there are evidences. So it takes time to validate the evidences, but we also have the tentative figure. And focusing on the WPS, because we are on the Women, Peace, and Security, if you would like to ask how much has been allotted by the Women, Peace, and Security agencies, last year, it's small, sorry, 0.51%. And the reason for this is because of the tagging. There is a tagging technique or process in budgeting where the big programs that are actually going also to these processes like the Pantawid Buhay, there is already evidence that if you are providing income-generating projects, the incidence of conflicts are somehow diminished. So there's a relation between the support that the government is giving to the incidence of conflicts. But we will try to fix the tagging because it's only a matter of tagging. It does not mean that there is really a very low allocation for the WPS. And in terms of examining the utilization, 62% of the GAD budget went to protection and prosecution. And empowerment and participation is low, only 3%, which means that we have to really examine where the money is going to, because if we are talking about leadership and participation, then we should be investing on women's capacity building. So this is a continuing process. We are in it, and we have committed already to the OPAPRU that we are going to support in whatever way we can to make the implementation of the NAP-WPS easier and possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In as much as we would want to continue our discussion, our resource speakers have engagement after this press conference. We would like to thank our resource speakers for sharing with us the Pasay Declaration and the importance of this conference and our commitment to women, peace, and security. And that wraps up our press conference this afternoon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.